Hey everybody, King Heathen here, teaching you how to deconvert a Christian. Now, keep in mind, a lot of Christians are accusing us of trying to deconvert everybody. And I don't think it's necessarily that we're not. I mean, we certainly would love for everyone to be as smart as we are, or to be as enlightened as we are, or just to plain old see the world for what it is. Because it's a pretty cool thing. We'd like for them to not think that their dogma should rule our government, and the only way to do that is to get them off of their high horse and show them that their Bible's not what they think it is. So here's some steps that I think you should take. Feel free to reply back with a version that you have. This will be broken into two parts because there's not enough time to do this in 10 minutes. But step number one is that you get them to admit that the Bible has errors, misconceptions, cruelties, atrocities, contradictions, whatever. Go to any website. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. Just look it up under any search engine for biblical errors, and you can get quite a few of those. If you guys are debating, you really want some good ones, you can email me. I'll be glad to give you some links that you can use. But anyway, I've written this down. I'll roll through it. Just remember that this is not easy. They'll try to defend the book of lies with everything they've got at first. But if you can find just one thing that they can't, then you started the process. One error means that errors are possible. Therefore, it's not the Word of God. That's key. Now they have to accept this before you can move on. It's not the Word of God. It's the word of men who thought God told them this. They can still believe in the Bible and just realize that men wrote it down and they may have screwed up here or there. Next, accept that errors came from people who just didn't know any better at the time. They thought the earth was flat, the sun revolved around the earth. They thought that they didn't realize that there would be medical explanations for certain things that they once thought came from God. Like demons causing disease instead of viruses. Get them to accept that. That one's not so difficult because it's pretty easy to understand primitive man, and so their perception of the world would be a flat earth, which is why the Bible repeatedly says that it thinks the world's flat. So number 3, accept the government corruption of the text when the Romans decided on which books would be included and which not. Not too hard of a stretch that they may have changed a line or two. Maybe even explain those. This might even explain those errors. This may seem like you're going backwards because you're kind of justifying it, but you're not. This is where they're going to go anyway, so you might as well take them there. It'll speed up the process. That's the way I look at it anyway. And a lot of people are willing to accept the fact that government would corrupt their religion, so it's not too difficult to do. Once they've accepted that, read where the Bible borrows from prior religions, which again takes you back to the Romans blending the pagan Temple of Isis followers, the Jewish religion, and everybody else all into one big old happy family. It's a whole lot easier to convert folks if you include what they used to be doing. Oh, you do a 12-day celebration around December? Yeah, well, those are the 12 days of Christmas. That's when Jesus was born. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Christians, before you even say it, even your biblical scholars will admit that December the 25th was just a selected day. It's not when he was actually born. They chose it because it coincided with the winter solstice. Look it up. There's a lot of other stuff too. Again, look up. There's several videos on YouTube for that. There's several websites that'll get you information about that. I'm going to do each one of these individually eventually. If you're in the process of working with somebody and you're trying this and you need some help, again, feel free to contact me. I'll be glad to give you some pointers on anything that you want to know. Alright, so number 5. Accept that the entire book was used as propaganda to control the poor and establish a new form of taxation. Tithing seems more reasonable than giving the emperor 10% of your money. This is an important step, but it's not a crucial step. If they don't accept the fact that of the tithing being just a way for them to get the money, it's not a big deal. But a lot of people will see the possibility of this, and once they think of the monetary corruption that could be a part of the whole thing, it'll make more sense to them. But what this basically is a setup for the next step, which is number 6. Read up on the Protestant Revolution. Find out just how corrupt the Roman Catholic Church was. Why did that many people break away? It must have been because even they thought that the church was screwed up. How long had it been going on? And while they dropped some of the Catholic practices, what's to say that more of them weren't wrong as well? You'll see how it explains a lot of things. It explains the corruption that was in the church then. It also explains the corruption in the church now, with everything that goes on with both the Catholic Church, with all their child molestation scandals, and even the Protestant churches with people like Ted Haggard, who screamed so heavily against homosexuals, and it turns out, hey, he's gay himself. Oh, but he's in rehab now. Whatever. He's just another one added to the list. Him and Jim Baker and all the rest of them, Swaggart, the whole lot. But anyway, so that's steps 1 through 6. At this point, if they've accepted each of these, you can get them to concede that there might still be a God, maybe even a Jesus, but the message was corrupted by people in powerful positions. So it'll take time to set in. So I'll probably let them stew on that for just some time. Come back in a few weeks, maybe even months, and see where they stand at that point. This whole phase right here is important, that you let them get through that and accept it, because if they're not accepting, then they're not going to take this next part, because this next part really gets into it with them. From here, we'll assume that they have come to the conclusion that some churches are corrupt, but not all, probably not theirs. And also there's the possibility that the Bible may have had inherent problems due to the corruption. If they aren't at this point, open any newspaper that you're bound to find a preacher that was stealing money, molesting children, or something else horrible. It happens every other Thursday, I think. It's like another one of their rituals that they have to do. Get something published in the newspaper, something absolutely horrible that you've done. Should be too hard for them to accept that. If there's a possibility that the churches are corrupted, even if not all of them, then how do you know what to believe from the Bible? And now it's time to go backwards and start back over with step 1. This time they're going to be a little bit more absorbing of what you had to say the first go around. So you hit it again. Number 1, revisit all the cruelty, all the lies, all the broken promises, all the contradictions, all the stupidity of the Bible. At this point, they'll be more accepting of the problems and put up less of a fight. Step number 2, modify step number 2 before. Not only are the errors due to lack of education, but some are by design. People of that time wanted women to be submissive, so they put it in their book. Get them to accept this. After all, the Roman Catholic Church could have put whatever they wanted in the Bible. They would have justified all the corruption. If the Roman Catholic Church could have put whatever they wanted in the Bible, they could have justified all the corruption that they were doing. Oh wait, they could. Remember, that's who chose which books to keep and which to drop. They were just not thorough enough to put in all the corruption that they wanted. Or maybe they just didn't think that if they could change too much without people noticing. All right, now we go to step number 3. Now, our modified step number 2 combos with 3 for just a bit, and when we revisit step number 3, we'll go ahead and put together 3, 4, and 5. So what we'll do is we'll discuss how the Catholic Church seems oddly familiar to the Roman Empire in structure. Pope equals emperor, archbishops, senators, etc. The Romans converted from worshiping the emperor to praising Jesus, so it only made sense that the new person of worship, the Pope, would take the same setup beneath him that the emperor had before. The church, for them, had basically become a second branch of government, later become a rival branch of government. And then number 6, the Protestant Revolution now seems like a really good idea. The church was no longer the house of God. The task now is for them to accept that the water was muddied way back then, and the truth now too hard to determine. Now you're going to let them stew again. You shouldn't need as much time the second go around as you did the first time. The result will be a steadfast acceptance of a theist God, but less faith in the Bible, more in their own interpretation, and that is key. Get them thinking for themselves. All right, we'll go to part 2, and we'll tell you what to do next. Again, let me know if you think you have a better way to do this. Thanks.